Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. 52 book. Somebody clip this one.
Welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I'm Jared. I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, brother?
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a very tired retread.
Yeah, so we are discussing Superman Returns. I know I said we were doing Suicide Squad, but you know what? I was like, okay, you know what? We'll just do this. But, all right. So here's the thing about this movie. This was the first time that they tried to, like, modernize Christopher Reeve in sort of, like, I guess, try and, like, recapture that, but try and bring it into the modern day. The problem is, it didn't do that. What do you think?
Yeah. Nick? So, obviously, I'm the Reeves fan here. I know you like Reeves, but, like, you know, it's like you're the Cavill guy, I'm the Reeves guy. You know
that works.
And you would think, oh, Nick likes Reeves. He likes this movie, and I do like it, but this movie's kind of like in an awkward place. Like the movie suffers from a really bad problem of not knowing what it wants to be. Like, is it retro? Is it modern? Like, they're trying to harken back to the Reeves, yet for some reason it's set in modern day. Like, legit, this movie should be like late 80s, very early 90s. But there's flat screen TVs, there's laptops. Like one thing, they accidentally made an Earth 2 Superman movie.
Yeah, actually, that this would be fantastic if they just called it Superman Earth 2.
Because it feels like Earth 2, to be honest.
And by Earth 2, we don't mean the new 52 version. We mean the more Golden Age inclined version.
Yeah, because we've had, like for example, I think Stargirl did a really good job of, like, showcasing an Earth 2 where it's, like, slightly, or even The Flash. The Flash had a great Earth 2 where it's, like, modern yet, like, retro-y. I like that aesthetic. But, and I think a lot, I think Brandon Routh does deserve a lot of kudos. He does a really good Christopher Reeve kind of thing. Like, he does that whole speak from the chest thing that Superman does really well. I don't think Kate Bosworth was a good Lois Lane. In fact, I found her performance to be rather lame.
As all versions of Lois are.
You were waiting for that one.
Yeah, but that's true. Of the ones that have played Lois, she because I know I say I tolerate movie Lois and TV show Lois. This is the one I tolerate the least.
Okay, here's a hot take. Kate Bosworth is not the worst TV Lois. That in terms of worst, number one worst. I'm going to be honest. I don't like Erica Duras as Lois. She's
really
live action Lois, by the way.
With me, I kind of liked Erica Duras. I was not a fan of Terry Hatcher.
It's been so long since I've watched Lois and Clark. I can't really give an opinion on it. I'm like, but knowing Terry Hatcher's acting style, I'm sure if I saw it, I'd put her at, like, the top. Kate Bosworth is just,
she's a little, she's a little bland, a little low energy, as I normally call these people. It's weird. Okay, now here's what I will say about this movie. This is another occasion, although to a much lower degree, a much lesser degree, of a movie being a movie plot being kind of messed up by releasing an imperfect cut, because it's the plot of the movie is Superman they discover
it's Superman 1. It's the plot of Superman 1.
They discover the wreckage of Krypton, what they think is the wreckage of Krypton. So Superman leaves Earth. Now, here's the part that they edited out. There was a deleted scene in this. So he's gone for 5 years. The movie makes it look like he was a deadbeat dad. No. What happened was he reached the like wreckage of Krypton. Obviously, there was kryptonite in the core. It kind of knocked him out, and he knocked his ship off course, and that's why it took him 5 years to get home.
All right, so we do need to explain a little thing. So basically, with this movie, it pretends Superman 3 and 4 never happened. Superman 1 and 2 happened, and then that's it. So in Superman
That's
2,
what people do.
he does, like, there's so many, like, little plot hole things. Like, when he was depowered, he did sleep with Lois. And the conceit is, when he slept with Lois, they conceived a child. If he was depowered, why does his kid have powers?
Well, also, not only that, he may be depowered. This is the problem with the whole Superman's depowered so he can sleep with Lois. You then have to explain to me, okay, so here's the problem with that. He still has Kryptonian DNA. It doesn't change his DNA, and Kryptonian human DNA is notoriously not able to be mixed. That's why Connor doesn't have all of Superman's powers. Hey, what's up, Daniel?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. Well, also, it kind of falls apart when you realize that, okay, so he depowers at the Fortress of Solitude, and then they walk all the way back to Metropolis.
Yeah, and how does he get back?
It doesn't make sense at all. But anyway, this is not a discussion of Superman 2. Okay, so he gets back and discovers that, like, the world has kind of moved on without Superman. And okay, that's interesting. You have me interested. Then
one thing,
and
the other thing to note is, so the thing about Lois's character in the movie is, like, she wants her Pulitzer. So she finally wins her Pulitzer for essentially writing a breakup letter with her boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. How did I know? Because that's in the comics. Her Pulitzer is only because she wrote about Superman. But anyway, the thing about this, so when he first emerges, so Daniel brings up a good point. The only remarkable thing about this movie is Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. Yeah, he was a good Lex.
I would argue
Brandon
Routh as Superman is also, like, Brandon Routh got done dirty. I think we, at the very least, I think you can agree, Brandon Routh should have gotten another crack at the character.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? He did with Crisis, and you know what? It was great. It's another occasion where it's the material that sucks.
Yeah.
But see, so continuing on, the thing about this is where the movie starts to, like, lose me. The minute I see the suit. Because here's the problem with the suit. There's S's everywhere. There's tiny S's in the S. There's an S at the bottom of his boot. There's an S on the boot. There's an S on the belt buckle. There's S's everywhere.
Well,
and I'm like, we get it. You're Superman.
Okay, well, here's the thing. So this was directed by the X-Men director Bryan Singer, and he brought over a lot of his people. One of the people he brought in, so the same person who designed the Superman suit also designed all the X-Men costumes. And if you go back and watch the X-Men movies, not only in the suits, but in the production design, they hid X's everywhere. So knowing that, them hiding S's everywhere just makes so much sense.
Yeah, but then the other part that I really hate, I don't like the size of the S. I think it's a little small.
I actually don't mind the symbol itself. Like,
the logo is fine. I'm just saying it has to be larger.
AFJ, this is literally a sequel to Superman 2.
It is. It even starts off with Jor-El, with Brando Jor-El.
Like, basically, this movie pretends Superman. This is the alternate universe. Superman 3, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it says the movie brings up. Yeah. Okay. So we already talked about that. Yeah. Essentially that. So continuing on, the other part that I have issues with is, all right. So they constantly do. So the central problem of this film is essentially, like we said before at the beginning of this, and this will be like the base of this discussion. It tries to be Reeve, but not Reeve, and that's the problem.
To expand upon that, my problem is a little bit different. I feel like they're too obsessed with the Reeve. Like, they want to move forward, but they're too obsessed. Like, for example, this whole plot. So, in Superman 1, he was trying to do a land. It was essentially the plot, his scheme was land. And he's doing land again. So they're recycling plots in Superman 1. They're kind of, like, I do like they have a lot of, like, the little things, like, for example, Gene Hackman's Lex obsession with wigs, I thought was okay.
Mm-hmm.
The not Miss Tessmucker character, she's very much like, looks like Miss Tessmucker. She acts like Miss Tessmucker.
They even recreated Action 1 where he catches her car.
I mean, that's just nice. I like that. I'm not
that you gotta do with Superman. I will say my favorite scene is when the criminal is shooting a minigun at him and he's just walking and then it zooms in on his eye and you see the bullet hit his eye and then bounce off.
See, that's the problem with this movie is there's really not enough action.
Yeah, it's boring. That's the problem with it, is that it is very boring.
Like, honestly, you know what I would have done for this movie?
What?
I would have made Lex Parasite.
Oh, dude.
Like, basically, Lex gets a plot to either do a Parasite or a Bizarro. Or Cyborg Superman thing.
You could do that. That would actually work, and you could do a new Lex plot and give, like, a Superman villain that doesn't get a lot of play some play. That works. I like that.
Like, let's go with the Hank Henshaw thing. Like, let's say Clark is back, but he chooses not to be Superman for a little while. And then this new Superman appears, and he's like, looks to be doing good at first. But then he's doing best. Superman has to reappear, and so the second and third act plot is who's the real Superman.
Yeah, exactly. And then Daniel also brings up, so Superman and Lois' son is strong enough to push a piano, but human enough to not absorb kryptonite radiation. See, here's the thing, Daniel. It's very inconsistent because here's what they did do with John, at least. John is still weak to kryptonite to a degree. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's the Kryptonian DNA, half of him that's weak to kryptonite. And this is like, well, actually, no. He is weak to kryptonite because if you notice when Lex was like waving the kryptonite, that's where Lex asked, who's that boy's father? At least Lex was smart enough to go, okay, I see. At that moment, when I saw this movie in the theaters, because, I saw this in the theaters, immediately I was like, at that moment, that's Superman's kid.
Yeah, like, they try and play it up, like this is big mystery, but I think, like, halfway through the movie, like, who cares? We all know who it is.
Yeah, ultimately, neither sons were good characters. Yeah, exactly. But Randy, I'm going back to at least they were consistent with the rules. But the thing about this movie, see, here's the thing. There's plenty to like in this movie. I'm trying to think of something nice to say.
I'll say this. I do appreciate that they had James Marsden's character. And he wasn't an a-hole. Like, he was actually a good man. Because so many stories, when you have like this love triangle, they'll make the other guy like this villain to make it easier. But they actually made him to the point where I actually feel bad for him that he's getting cooked.
Yeah,
you know the word I'm trying to avoid.
You know what's kind of funny? He leaves X-Men, a show where he was already cooked, if you will. Then he comes to here and he's cooked by Superman.
Like, I feel bad for him because he didn't deserve that.
Which, by the way, Marsden could actually play a pretty good Superman, I think.
Even today, like, he still looks good.
Yeah, I think if
Marsden is like an actor that's never gotten his due. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because he's good enough. Yeah, if he were given a shot at Superman, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I could see this. But Daniel says, seriously, Lex Luthor wants to build a beach. Yeah, that's the problem. The plot is too much in that time period. See, at least, say what you want about BVS. Lex's plan in that is to discredit Superman by having him murder a human being.
And I'd argue his plan in the first movie is actually not like pretty genius. Basically, his plan in the first movie is he wants to trigger the San Andreas fault to have half of California go into the sea, and then the rest of the property in the desert would be really valuable property he's already bought up. That, while outlandish, it actually has logic to it. Like, it's crazy, but you can see the logic and it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the problem is both sons' mothers were lame. That's a significant problem. And you see, again, I can admit when Lois Lane is played right, like in the Snyderverse, like in Superman and Lois. I didn't like Lois and Clark. And obviously, I didn't see enough of Erica Duras as Lois to really weigh in on that.
I'll say my favorite line is when Lois says, "I've done Superman lots of times," and there's just like this pause where she says, "I've written articles about him."
One of my favorite lines is when she goes, "How'd you get here? I flew." And I'm like, yeah.
I will say, between Kate Bosworth and Brandon Routh, they did actually play it felt like they knew each other for a very long time. Like, the way they talked, the way they interacted, I could buy that they had history together. So hats off to both actors for pulling that off.
And how about that dope homage to the Max Fleischer cartoons where he catches the airplane? I'm like, I see what you're doing there, and you know what? I'll take it. But see, here is the problem with this. And see, that's a fundamental flaw. I like this movie's like homages, but it comes off a lot of the times where it's just homage instead of trying to be its own thing.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is this is a movie where the sum total is not equal to its parts. Like, we talked about moments that we liked, moments that we loved, but when you stitch it all together, it's a meh movie at best. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. Like, I'm gonna give this. Okay, this is gonna be kind of harsh, but a 6.5.
Yeah, I give it the same because there's stuff I like, but there's a lot of it that I'm less like when he's hovering outside their house and looking in, I'm like,
stalkery.
That doesn't age well, bro. I'm like, that just I'm not a fan of that. And the other thing is, see, the thing is that she hadn't seen Superman for 5 years, and then immediately when he shows up, she's like practically ignoring her handsome fiance, who also may or may not be Cyclops in the witness protection program.
Oh God, you and the witness protection program.
That's the easiest way to explain this. He got the killing by the Phoenix. No, actually, what happened is that Professor X detected Superman, so he sent Cyclops to Metropolis, and he told Jean Grey to kill him as a cover.
Oh. I also love, there's a lot of like little moments that I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Where like Perry White's doing this thing, like, oh, did he gain weight? Then you see Brandon Routh look down.
Yeah. But by the way,
or another one of my favorites, like, it's a bird, it's a plane. The next shot is Brandon Routh walking into the door. Like, this movie is well shot. Like, it's well shot, it's well directed. It's edited, like the editor deserves a freaking Oscar. Like, this is
I like how they put like a little film grain on it to make it look a little bit old timey. By the way, Daniel says keeping the differences ahead. Wonder Woman 1984 had the same problem with tributes. Yeah, because Jenkins herself. This one was better. Jenkins herself said she was trying to like homage the Superman, Superman 78 in that movie as well, and I'm like, it doesn't work with the version of the character that you worked with in the first movie.
Well, she did a Superman homage in the first movie, and it was great. It was great. Like, that was a like. Well, here's a problem. In the first movie, she did the homage, but she perfectly ingrained it in the lore of the world. It was something that happened in the world.
What was the homage again?
The catching the bullet.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know,
and
where
the glasses.
Yeah, in the alleyway where they get mugged. That's a scene from the first Superman movie. Like, that was great because they perfectly integrated it into the world. It was part of the plot. It was great.
And if there's one character that could do that, it is Wonder Woman and maybe Flash.
Yeah,
but yeah. Burmy says Brandon didn't even speak more than 4 sentences back to back. It was cringe. Yeah, he barely spoke too.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's not like he's a bad actor. We see
he's
Brandon
not.
Routh. He's a good actor.
He can do it. By the way, you know what's sound's gone. Can anyone hear us?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me check out the stream. All right. Testing.
I think it's just Daniel.
Just. All right. I can hear myself.
Yeah. I can hear myself on the stream as well. So Daniel, I think it's just you.
Yeah, I literally just pulled up the stream on my end and I can hear me. Hi, Nick. Hi, Future Nick. Wonderbat still sucks.
Yes, it does. So anyway, so that you get to this, and I think now this is the other thing that's like see again. See the problem is this is why I'm glad that Routh got to come back as Superman for like Crisis. This is the best in the CW ever did, because it showed that it wasn't really him as Superman that was the problem. It was the material he was given, because he was great as Kingdom Come Superman. And by the way, the suit looked good in that movie. I mean, that show.
Yeah, I think the reason why they didn't have the Superman Return suit, because there might be like some copyright or like, I don't know, there might be some legal stuff. It's LWB, but
it still worked. It still worked, and the suit still looked good. That's the part that really perplexes me. But it's essentially the same Superman, and I liked how when he was flying, he gave the little wink. I was like, okay, I like what you're doing with there. But so let's go back to this. So now, so as you guys know, so we've already rated 6.5. So I want to transition to something here, because Nick and I and the other comics leaguers have talked about this. The prop with the James Gunn Superman movie coming out, and him very much taking a cue from the Reeve movie, even though he claims he's not, he clearly is. What I want to talk about now is, how do you like adapt? How do you like bring the Reeves era Superman? How do you do Superman 78 but now?
I think the way to do it is to adapt the feel, adapt kind of like the look, but not necessarily adapt the movies. Because the problem that I think Superman Returns ran into is they were too obsessed with the Reeve stuff and paying homage. They're too obsessed with looking back to move forward.
That could work.
And like, I think there was good stuff. Like, the movie looked great. Like the setting, they were about, I'd say, 2/3 of the way there, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they just forgot to do a good story, and they let the homages get in the way of telling a good story. Like, this movie should not have been a ripoff of the plot of Superman 1. Like, they should not have done the land deal, or even the original, like, the flight thing. You're just redoing scenes from Superman 1 to say, hey, you remember this? Like, we talk about member berries and how nostalgia is getting in the way.
Nostalgia armor.
This movie was doing that crap back in like the late 2000s.
Brandy, limit Lois Lane screen time. Yes, we would all love that.
They should pull a Superman 3 and just be like, oh, I won a prize, I'm going on vacation, I'm literally going to be 2 scenes at the beginning and end of the movie.
Or just say, oh yeah, Lois, she was transferred to Gotham. Let her date Bruce Wayne, as far as I'm concerned.
No.
They actually had chemistry in the DCAU.
No, here it is. Perry White comes and like, hey, Ket, we did a transfer with the Gotham Gazette. Clark, I want you to meet Vicky Vale.
Or I want you to meet so we're doing this cultural exchange with a newspaper in Greece. I'd like you to meet culture journalist Diana Prince. There you go, played by Linda Carter. I just fixed Superman.
I can totally imagine like you're the Superman writer, I'm the Batman writer, and we do make a deal to ship Lois to Gotham, and we actually get the people to do it.
Well, here's the thing: if we're in charge of the characters, like if we're the main editors and what we say goes, we could just say it. Then we could say, and then you know what I would do? I would say, okay, so we're making a permanent change. Lois is going to be in the Bat books from now on,
and we're shipping Vicky Vale to Metropolis.
Yeah, exactly, and
not as a love interest, but just as a reporter, a character there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and this is gonna be permanent. This is it. She's never coming back to Metropolis.
Well, as far as our runs are concerned.
And then what we'll do is we'll never refer to her again. So we'll essentially shelve Lois. So she'll be in Gotham, but we'll never hear about her again.
And then like 6 months later, where I've finally done my storyline where Bruce finally marries Lois Lane, and they get married, and Clark is his best man, and I really literally like Bruce and Clark are talking, and Clark says to Bruce, "Better you than me."
and then Bruce goes, "Shouldn't you?" And he motions to Diana. He goes, "Go get her, Tiger." And then Clark just floats over with some orchids. Anyway, back to this. But so yeah, that would be really fun. That's so what I would do and market it as a permanent change. But yeah, Vicky Vale is a better journalist. Anyone's up. You notice how like you have journalistic love interests in like Flash and Batman, and they're significantly better characters.
Yeah.
I don't understand. But Burmy says, "I hope James Gunn doesn't nerf Superman." So here's my concern with that. I'm glad you brought that up, Burmy. Okay, so the problem. So my concern with Superman by James Gunn is it looks to me like it's repeating the same mistakes as Returns. So far, I could be wrong on this. I'll get a better indicator when I see that trailer, but. It looks like it's doing Superman Returns ... again.
Superman Returns again.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Nick?
I kind of disagree with you on that. I think the movie is way too overstuffed to concern itself with Reeves references. Like there'll be some, but looking at like what the movie is supposed to be, I think the movie's way too overstuffed. You know, having entire Justice Leagues, Ultraman in there. You know, like everyone is a cringy edgelord, and Superman's the one wholesome one. He teaches them all to be good again. I'm not certain I like that plot. I need to kind of see it in action. But I think the movie's way too overstuffed, and I haven't seen any indication. Like, obviously, he wants to go in a Reeves direction, but the thing is, he's avoiding the Returns problems and instead creating whole new ones.
What are the whole new ones he's creating?
Well, like I said, the movie is way too overstuffed.
Yeah.
You know, you have an entire Justice League of characters. You have an alternate Superman. Like, I'm sorry, why are you doing Ultraman? Just do Bizarro. Everyone knows who Bizarro is. Nobody knows who Ultraman is.
Yeah. Or do like Metallo. There's literally a plot where to counter Superman,
Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman.
Well, you would have to actually kill. That would work better if you were to down the line do a DOS movie, because do not do it again. Do not do it again. But maybe
this time Superman will actually throw the spear to Wonder Woman for once.
Yeah, we're not having that conversation right now. I want to see Metallo Parasite for Man of Steel 2. Yeah, that would have been cool. And by the way, Metallo was supposed to be in BVS. There's concept art of that. The dude that lost his legs, that was supposed to be Metallo.
Yeah, I could see them setting up Metallo, especially after like the bombing kind of thing.
Yeah, but okay, so the problem, I wonder if James Gunn watched the DC animated movies, maybe, but see,
probably.
They have to nerf Superman, otherwise how is Lois supposed to shine? Yeah, exactly. See, here's the thing. From what one of the actresses that like auditioned for Superman said, this is a Lois Lane movie.
Lame.
And I'm like, I hate it already. Oh my, if it gets that, it's getting a 2. It could do the best things ever. It's going to be a 2. Because if you're...
Dude, be honest, it's going to be a -2.
Yeah, because here's the thing. it loses significantly a lot of points if it does that, because if you're marketing a Superman movie as a Lois movie, then I'm pissed. Because if you want to make a Lois movie and lose money, make a Lois movie.
So I guess the movie is actually titled Superman: Lois is totally not lame. ... We swear.
Yeah. Or it could be called Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. Ha ha. But yeah, and so the problem I see is the problem that I see, Nick, for the James Gunn movie is to a degree it's cramming in a lot of stuff, but it's also changing stuff that shouldn't be changed, like the Green Lantern suit, for instance. That's one of the most glaring ones. But yeah, Ultraman. Because here's the thing. I get that there are like different versions of different characters throughout like DC's publication history. There has only been one version of Ultraman, or one context for Ultraman. He is evil Earth 3 Superman. And it's pretty obvious Gunn is not doing the multiverse, so you can't do that. If he's doing Bizarro, to Nick's point, if he's doing Bizarro, do Bizarro!
Also, and this is a problem I've always had with the character, there's an Ultraman, and he's in Japan.
Well, yeah. Well, the other thing is,
I get he's not like a mainstream character in America, but he's well known enough that there's going to be some confusion.
Well, here's the other thing, Nick. Here's the other thing I just realized right now. This seems a lot like copying Snyder, because you have Superman fighting what essentially is another Kryptonian.
He won't stop. He won't stop.
Yeah, watch. If Superman has to kill Bizarro, everyone will be like, "Oh my gosh, it's the best movie ever," and we'll be like,
"Watch." He snaps the neck.
Yeah, Sergeant Giratina goes, yeah, at least, Bizarro at least, but I prefer Brainiac. The problem is the elites who control these studios have too much control. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Brainiac is good for like a third movie. You have to set that up. There's no, Brainiac cannot be a first movie villain. But
thank you for finally coming around to that.
Yeah, but Randy, what happened to comic book accuracy? This is why I point out these things. I said this on CLD last night. This is why I point out all those comic inaccuracies when they change stuff, like not having Carol Ferris be Hal Jordan's love interest, even though she's always been that. Like the crappy suit, the JLI. It's because this is being held up as, oh my gosh, he's actually doing comic book. It's being marketed by the actors as this is true to the source material. And I'm like, I have yet to see it be true to the source material. Yeah. That's it. And Brainiac should be a second movie. I still say third. What do you think, Nick?
I say third because Bizarro. I mean, Brainiac is like a Thanos level character
for reality. Superman,
or in the DC universe. Like Brainiac is somebody who, if Brainiac wanted to go up against Darkseid, Brainiac could actually really threaten Darkseid if he really wanted to. Like the full power.
Here's the thing: when you think about it, they could just do Brainiac for a Justice League movie. Make him the villain, because he's big enough that you could do that. Third movie is bad luck because of how studio executives behave when the second movie gets nervous and Steve Ross's WB regime interference and
Jared,
with the Superman 3 script. Yeah?
They did have Brainiac fight the Justice League. It's called Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Now, it would be cool if they did a movie where Ultron fights the Squadron Supreme. Directed by Zack Snyder. I'm like...
Okay, I just need to say this. In an Ultron versus Brainiac fight, Brainiac is just so much more powerful than Ultron. Ultron's biggest thing is JJheat's coming back. Like as a living computer, Brainiac is probably 3 or 4 power levels above him. And every time I've seen like these versus fights, they're like, "Oh, I don't know DC, but Ultron would win because I feel like it."
Yeah, but Cajun. If you want to see a live action Darkseid, there's a version of Justice League that features him pretty prominently. It's called Zack Snyder's
you just got to use the old ways. You got to use the old ways. Which by the way, Comics League is endorsed by Darkseid.
Yes, it is. By the way, Superman villains for movies in order: 1, Lex Luthor; 2, Zod; 3, Parasite Metallo; 4, Brainiac; 5, Bizarre. I don't want Zod to be used. Honestly, I don't want to use Zod at all because every Superman has fought Zod, and I think the whole trope of the villain of the movie is just the inverse of the hero is a little overplayed.
Parasite is a great second movie villain because you're like, okay, we established it. He has these powers. He's cool. No, let's take him away.
Mhm.
Like, that is a very much a second movie trope of, like, you're established now. Then we take away the powers. Learn how to deal without him. Like, Parasite is, like, the quintessential second movie villain.
Yeah, exactly. But so Brainiac doesn't need to be a villain to be fought in live action by the Justice League. I mean, come on. I don't mean any harm, but what's the point of starting over and repeating 1978? Nostalgia. That's what it is, Sergeant Giratina, because what you guys have to understand about WB and like these big companies, when they try and like redo movies, like essentially remake, the reason why we're in the age of remakes is because they're under the assumption that if we make it as much like this previous movie, because Superman 78, once you adjust for inflation, made a crap ton of money. So they're like, okay, if we basically make that movie now, that'll make even more money because of Superman. And we're heavily going into the Superman movie that everyone loves. What they don't realize is you can't just do that. It's the same mentality that like Disney has when they're like, it doesn't matter what we put out as long as it's a Star Wars movie.
And the problem, the thing you always see, like, this is a pattern that always repeats with DC, is you have a character who people are known for one way. Then a movie comes out that pushes the envelope. You're like, and then 5 years later, it's like Batman 89. But when Batman 89 came out, everyone was used to the Adam West version. And then people like that. When Zack Snyder's version came out, everyone was all used to the Nolan version. And, like, I'm sorry, but the Patterson version is just a watered down Snyder version.
Yeah, he's just as brutal. And see, here's the thing on that. You also see people 5 years later going, these versions were actually pretty great. We're already seeing where more and more people are watching Snyder's movies and going, these were not as bad as people think they are.
I mean, it's that, and then you have the people who, they always secretly liked it, but they never said anything because it was universally hated. But as soon as it becomes okay to like something, the people who always liked it but never said anything because it was uncool to like it, come out of the woodwork, because you get that as well.
Look at how many people came out and said I was wrong about Zack Snyder when the Snyder Cut came out. So that's the thing.
How many times have we watched a video of like, oh, I'm an MCU fan, let's watch Man of Steel, and they love it.
Yeah, because that's what it is. Sergeant Giratina says all this behavior from the studios under the current leadership is like they're taking orders from a brainiac-phobic God of War in the real world. Or even, yeah, exactly. The actual Ares. I say we find some way to put a leash on these elites and their stubborn pride and ego.
Okay, and yeah, no. Sorry, you know why.
Mm-hmm. Just like the new 52. Yeah, exactly. I actually like the Green Lantern movie. I do too. I think that's a movie that I think is overhated. There are some parts of it that I have problems with, but there was a lot of them that I'm like, okay, you know what? That is really good. That's really good. What about making Lois the next Superman film?
You got Daniel. You just want to piss off Jared tonight, don't you?
Yeah, you really do. That's really funny. That's really funny. But yeah, that wasn't. I disagree, Nick. So he says it's essentially saying just adapt Superman versus Brainiac properly. Yeah, you could do that. They keep trying to do that. Superman lives that was going to be the plot, Superman versus Brainiac. Man of Steel 2 with Cavill.
Yeah.
Him teaming up with Sasha Calle. So it would have been pretty much an adaptation of Superman Brainiac, essentially, or as they called it in the animated movie, Superman Unbound, I think is what they called. There were some issues, but I enjoyed it. It also helps that I was filmed in New Orleans, where I'm from, so I recognize a lot of those locations. Oh, that's cool, dude.
Nice.
That's dope. But yeah, see, and I would argue, and we have said that like Superman is notoriously one of the hardest characters to adapt. I don't see. Here's why I think that is it's not necessarily because he's invincible or challenges, because I think a creative enough writer can do that. The reason why I think Superman is very hard to adapt is because there is an inordinate amount of like expectations and pressure when you're adapting Superman as opposed to adapting like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and then there's also the other thing where Superman is such a powerful character. It's difficult to find people for him to punch. Whereas Batman, with him being human, it's very easy to write a compelling Batman story. Yes, I mean, Cajun, yes, yes.
Yes, please do. If you want Cavill to come back as Superman, you all better start tweeting Restore the Snyderverse, because that's the only way that happens. Sergeant says, yes, I want to revive Cavill's Man of Steel 2 movie with him. Yeah, essentially, that's what it is. That's what
I said this before. Mm-hmm. Sasha really surprised me.
Yeah,
with Supergirl. Like, when I first saw her, I wasn't really like, she didn't really look like Supergirl to me. But I gotta say, she was kind of the best part of the Flash, which is pretty low bar, but still.
What they could do, by the way, let's say they do bring that back and do it. What they could do is have her dye her hair blonde.
I mean, honestly, that's not even necessary. I think she was fine as is.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a I don't have that much of a problem with it. But yeah, Sasha was probably the best part of that movie. It's worth it enough just to get more Sasha Calle Supergirl.
What I liked about her is there was kind of like a subtlety to her acting. But like a lot of actors, when they do that, it just comes across as flat, not interested. But she made it work really well, and I think she's a lot better actress than some people give her credit for.
One of my favorite moments is when Zod tells her that he killed Kal-El, and you see like she starts breathing, then the eyes start lighting up slowly, and then she like blasts him with heat vision. I'm like, that is cool. I'll give you that. She had some really cool transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry, so sorry to get here. I am in for Callie's Return of Supergirl only if we get Brainiac and Man of Steel 2 done properly. Yeah, essentially that's what it is. Zach has said that if you were to do Man of Steel 2, it would be versus Brainiac. And again, I just say Henry Cavill versus Brainiac. Yes. That is all I want. Is that too much to ask for?
Okay, Jared. Okay, I have to ask you this question. Let's say they're doing this. Who would you cast as Brainiac in the Snyderverse?
Bryan Cranston.
So you want Bryan Cranston to play a head on a wall again?
No, he doesn't have to be a head on a wall.
You get what I'm doing, though, right?
Yeah, I know. But Brainiac is not a lot of it's not on a wall. But yeah, I'll be honest. I know more about Marvel, but I'm familiar with DC. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
We do Marvel too. You're more than welcome to hang out here, brother. But yeah exactly. Just all you need is to see. Here's what they could do. What they could, because Man of Steel 2 is also going to be, according to Zach and Henry, more of Cavill's Superman now that he's had this arc, trying to be more of the classic hopeful Superman that we know, even though he was arguably hopeful in Man of Steel, but a little bit more of that. So you could see Superman probably like finally dealing with like the aftermath of like killing Zod. Like maybe there's like a religious group that says Zod was right or something like that.
Okay, Simon Garantina.
Yeah.
So as far as like the castings, I think Jonathan Majors is too much damaged goods, but Jude Law as Brainiac.
Jude Law's Brainiac is great.
I mean, it's not like it wouldn't be the first time he's played a robot.
Or they straight up screw Marvel and go Paul Bettany.
Now that would be the person who cast that has to have vision.
I know, Nick. That would be the equivalent of Marvel doing a Squadron Supreme movie directed by Zack Snyder, starring the entire Snyderverse cast.
Quit. Okay. I have to quit making Squadron Supreme a thing. Trying to make Squadron Supreme a thing. Like, okay, I have to do this now. I'm sorry. No, continue, Jared.
You know what? When The Flash is a bad movie, when the character is killed at the end of the movie, breaking any chance of continuity. Well, yeah, but time travel stuff. I could bring it back, buddy. So Garantina said, and also wouldn't mind Rosa Salazar replacing Amy Adams for Lois Lane, and Hathaway or Rebecca Hall as Silver Banshee and Man of Steel sequel taking place in no, it would have to be in the DCEU. It would definitely have to be in the DCEU. The most okay Superman movie is the best way to describe Super. Yeah, that's my title. It's the most okay. It's not. It didn't love it, but didn't hate it. It quietly gained a cult following throughout the years. It did have a pretty good Superman game. Okay.
Oh
later,
God,
Dick,
I'm sorry. Everyone who brings up that game, I swear, has never actually played it.
No, I have. I beat it, as a matter of fact.
Well, look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Yeah, it is a good time to say I'm a woman who grew up in the anime shows and stuff in the 90s. Got belief like in comics and sci-fi. Oh, man, that sucks. Yeah, we've all kind of I've experienced that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cat. Thank you. Yes, cast Paul Bettany, and then Om's gonna be Zack Snyder. Your move, Marvel. Yeah, exactly. But see, that would be the way they screw up with that's the way that DC challenges Marvel. But you see, no, that's what they could do to really screw with.
Tag you
with
in a post.
Oh my God! Did you? Yes. Okay.
Show it, please.
No. Anyway. Anyway. So, back to the conversation of the movie. The problem with I'm not showing this. The problem with this is so. I think what they need to do in order to adapt Superman properly is, yes, you can have homages to Reeve, but to quote, I can't believe I'm going to quote The Last Jedi, but let the past die. You got to move on from the past and adapt Superman for now. That's what Man of Steel 1 did. That's why I always say that. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, in this instance, yeah, for sure. And it's like, if you don't want to go in the Snyder direction, that's fine too. Just do something new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, move on from 1978. Yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing: 78 is a great movie for its time period. What it did for comic book movies, what it did for movies, it's great. I'm not saying it's a crappy movie. I'm just saying at a certain point, you can't keep trying to repeat the past, because then guess what? If they were to completely homage that, like say if Zach had done that with Cavill would be known as Discount Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, that title. Yeah, Brandon Routh has that title. But,
arguably, he kind of broke that with CW Crisis.
Like, I'd argue that 78 has actually held up rather well, and it still works as a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's still a movie of its time, and you watch it with that context, being like, okay, yes, this is made in 78. And I'm watching it as a movie that was made in 78. Is it chintzy? Is it all that stuff? Yes. But it's still enjoyable, and it's aged really well. But that doesn't mean you can just make the movie now.
Exactly. Because here's actually a good way to say this. This movie came out before Superman 78 came out before Crisis on Infinite Earths because Crisis was in the 80s. So this is the pre-Crisis Superman in that. Post-Crisis, that's Henry Cavill.
Oh no! Yeah, this is. I think even you've said it a couple times. The Reeves movies are essentially Silver Age Superman.
Yeah, 100%. Because even that's where you see Superman throwing his S to like contain people. That is very much Silver Age Superman.
Yeah, it has a lot of those Silver Age trappings. That credit goes to you for that one, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But when you get to like Man of Steel, that's when you have like post-crisis Superman, because what post-crisis Superman did, and arguably they continued it better in the new 52. I have to say that, Nick. You know, I'm obliged to say that.
No, Randy's comment.
Oh, Randy, it would have been cool to see Christopher Reeve and Linda Carter. Watch a certain episode of Super Wonder Legacy where Britt and I discussed just that. But see, here's the thing. Post-crisis Superman was hopeful and everything like that. But he kind of had like a darker tinge to him a little bit. It was more of if Superman were in the time period that the books were coming out. That's what Man of Steel was. If Superman existed today, this is what he would be like. He's still hopeful. He still smiles. And he's still Superman, but he's also in a world that kind of is like afraid of a guy that has the powers of a god. Because that was always, as a post-crisis New 52 fan, that was my critique with the Christopher Reeve Superman movie. He shows up and like he drops Lex Luthor off at the prison. They're like, see you later, Superman. Like, no one's concerned about the dude with the powers of a god. But I understand that was like the time period. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, that doesn't break the movie for me, because I'm watching it, like Nick said, as a film that's coming out at this time period.
And I'm just going to go say, like, I appreciate Zach for attempting that idea with BVS. I feel like he didn't really execute it that well, like the whole like reaction to Superman. Well, we can argue about that. We can have difference of opinion. Yeah. But like, I feel like Zach hit upon a gold mine of an idea. It's just he didn't follow through with it well enough.
Well, here's the thing. Ignoring BVS, that's what Man of Steel is.
You think you can mess my mother?
I swear, and I may or may not be homaging that in certain projects I'm working on. But no, because that was a great scene. Superman sees a guy threatening his mother, and he's beating the crap out of Zod. He's like, "Oh no, because that's the one thing about Superman's been consistent. If you mess with his family, he goes full red eyes on you."
Yeah, so don't mess with Martha
or Diana. But anyway.
Well, the thing about Diana is she can kind of look after herself.
That's the thing. It's like if Superman were married to Wonder Woman and he revealed his identity as Clark Kent, I could see the criminals going, we can't do it. We can't try and attack Superman's family because he's married to an Amazon.
You know, I could just see like a month into dating Wonder Woman, like they wake up, they're having their morning coffee, and then Clark just says, "You know what, Diana? Dating you is so great. Because I don't have to rescue you every 5 minutes. You can take care of yourself. It is so great. I've gotten so much work done. Perry's no longer bugging me because I have time to write up myself because I don't have to rescue Lois every 5 minutes. Thank you, Diana."
Exactly. I kind of feel like Snyder crafted Kal-El as the child somewhat in Man of Steel. He was still grappling with where he fit in the world and still reacting to truck drivers pushing his buttons. Yeah, exactly. Essentially,
I wouldn't say childish, but I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, it was essentially like, it was like Superman trying to figure out his place in the world, but it was still like Superman is like, he didn't kill anyone. He just played pranks on a-holes and sexual predators.
I mean, there's also the difference of if he had done anything in the bar, that would have caught attention. That would have been on video. Literally doing that guy's truck, obviously, it's like, yeah, a human being can't do that.
I will say,
it hides identity still.
I love the scene where the dude pours the beer on him and tries to push him, but he can't. He's like, what the hell?
Which, by the way, Jared, that is an homage to Reeve.
Yeah.
See, Snyder homage Reeve better.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've said for the longest time, to a degree, Man of Steel is telling the same type of story as the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, the first one. If you know, it's kind of funny, and Nick and I did this. If you time it, I wonder if this was intentional. If you play the movie side by side, they first become Superman at the exact same time. We even time coded it out. It's practically at the same time code. So we're watching this and I'm like, oh wow.
I vaguely remember that stream. But as detail oriented as Snyder is, I could totally see Zach doing that.
Oh yeah. He even had it where like the time code for Superman dying in BVS and him coming back to life in ZSJL is the exact same. See, here's why I love Zach's movies. If you really dig into them, there's stuff. I'm the guy that has seen the Snyder Cut 16 times, and I kid you not, I have counted. I'm still finding stuff that I didn't notice before, and I'm like, where was this?
Fun fact, Jared has watched the Snyder Cut more than Darkseid.
Yes, exactly. But
and by Darkseid we mean Darkseid.
Porter. Yeah, but Man of Steel is more rewatchable than Superman 2. Oh, yeah. Remember when he kills Zod in Superman 2 with a big grin on his face? Where compare that to in Man of Steel, he kills Zod and he actually breaks down.
See, okay, Superman 1, classic, straight up classic. Superman 2 is flawed but watchable.
Mm-hmm. 3 and 4.
3 is crap. 4 is literally, oh, you think Superman 3 was crap? Just wait till it's like you think it couldn't get any worse. They find a way to make it worse.
4 is a war crime.
3 is terrible with a few good moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And you know what's kind of funny? Returns is okay with good moments, but a lot of bad moments.
And the third act literally falls apart.
Man of Steel is, I would argue, great. It has some flaws, but it's overall great.
Great with some fairly glaring flaws.
Okay. But do you guys prefer the Donner cut for 2 or no? I don't think I've ever watched the Donner cut.
I need to watch the Donner cut. I've seen all 4 Superman movies, but never watched the Donner cut.
We may do that because I'm considering I'm going to do a lot of more like members only content for in the Comics League Discord by the link below, where we do some movie nights. We may watch the Donner cut next year, so be on the lookout for that.
Let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's like a lot. See, here's the thing. With Snyder's DC movies, by his movies, I mean Man of Steel, BVS, and ZSJL. They're great movies that have some flaws. That's it.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
All right, say it again, please.
They're great movies that have flaws.
Which ones?
Man of Steel, BVS, and ZSJL. Well, ZSJL is flawless, but that's besides the point. I'm trying to be fair here.
I mean, we could argue about the level of flaws, but yes.
In other words, they're not flaws where the entire movie falls apart.
No.
Yeah, that's all. That's what I'll take. That's what I'll take. Here's what you guys have to understand about me, and these are also for you new people because I have I have new people. This channel was founded because they announced the Snyder Cut. My love for Superman is because of Man of Steel. Like, for the longest time, I thought Superman was a dweeb because I watched, like, only the Reeves movie, and I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now. When I watch Man of Steel, though, because what Zach was doing with Man of Steel is breaking Superman down to his core. Here's who the character is at his core. So once you understand who this character is at the core, you can appreciate him when he's built back up. And that's what the trilogy is about. Hopefully it becomes more films, but that's besides the point. Where now that I appreciated it, I was like, okay, so let me take another look at the Reeves film. You know what? It's not that bad. It's not my favorite Superman movie. But let me put it this way. I will rewatch Superman 78 fairly regularly because it's a fun movie.
So Jared.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say Man of Steel made you believe a man can fly.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? That's it. I will own the fact that I am a DC fan. All of this, Comics League itself, does not exist without Zack Snyder.
See. Oh, and by the way, you do know you'll believe a man can fly is a tagline for Superman. So yeah. That was very deliberate. I said that was very deliberate.
I detected that. But yeah, all of you guys that have enjoyed my content in the past, or any of you new people that maybe enjoyed the stream, that's all because of Zack Snyder. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
I mean, he is the blueprint.
He is the blueprint for a lot of stuff that they keep trying to emulate. I mean, Superman and Lois is modeled after Man of Steel. They've said it many times.
Man, this stream really has come #full circle.
Yeah. Daniel says, I don't know if DC or WB understands exactly how many people became Superman fans because of Man of Steel and that interpretation. Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing. Man of Steel did for Superman now what 78 did for him then.
Yeah.
That's what I say there, because Superman 78 made Superman more of a household name outside of comic book fans, or like, I mean, people knew who like Superman was because of the S and it was iconic. But I would argue Superman 78 like more mainstreamed Superman at that time period. Then Man of Steel came out and did that same thing. It's the same thing with like Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman was still an A-list character, but she wasn't as mainstream as she is now. That movie came out. Wonder Woman is everywhere.
Well, here's the thing about Superman 78. It is essentially the first comic book movie. I mean, we probably got like, but it is the first comic book movie as we know it. Without Superman 78, we would not have gotten Endgame. We would have not gotten Avengers.
Yeah.
All of these movies. Like Superman 78 laid the groundwork. It is the movie that set everything in motion.
Well, here's the thing that you guys have to realize. Superman 78 coming out and performing as well as it did showed the studio that you can invest in comic book movies and make money. Because previous to this, if you told a WB executive, I want to make a movie about a guy in tights that flies, they would have laughed you out of the office because they're like, there's no way that's going to make money. They took the risk on Superman, and it paid off for them. What you want to say, Nick?
Like, they never would have made Batman 89 without Superman.
Yep, 100%.
Like, there are other factors that help make Batman 89, like Dark Knight Returns and all that stuff, and the previous success of the Adam West stuff. But Superman 78 is the linchpin. Without that movie, 89 would have never been made. And I think 89 is really what solidified the comic book movie in the cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah, I would say Superman 78 started that process. 89 completed it. Yeah. So that's what I would say. And by the way, I love 89. Obviously, I prefer BVS. But see, here's the thing. I like both movies. I'm not just a Snyder-only fan that thinks his movies are like the perfect depiction of DC. No depiction of DC is perfect. I prefer Snyder's movies, but I like the other stuff as well.
I have a question for you, Jared.
Yeah, go on.
Jared, do you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts! Exactly. Elijah says Snyder made Superman more super. Yep, exactly.
Oh God, I really hope you pulled that joke in your comic. That would be so great.
Because here's the problem with the way Superman was depicted. Here's what Snyder did. Because for any of you guys that have watched my content, particularly Super Wonder Legacy, know that what annoys me about Superman is they tend to overemphasize the Clark Kent part and ignore the Kryptonian part. That was my problem with the Dean Cain show, because they literally have him say, Superman is what I can do, Clark Kent is who I am. And I'm like, but actually, no, Kal-El is who you are. In this movie, they respected both. Because you can't ignore he's Kryptonian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like even that. Superman and Lois did that. Maybe 78 kind of did that. But my point is, you have to respect both in order for the character to actually work. Because because one of the best parts about Superman is him essentially, I don't want to say dueling, but yeah, I would say dealing with sort of a dual identity of I'm a human, but I'm also an alien that looks like a human and has the powers of a god. So
one thing that I did appreciate is there's that scene where they're going over the description of Superman, and like it literally matches Clark to a T, and they're like, no, it can't be Clark, and that. I like that little scene because it's just totally like the point of its disguise is so that even if his glasses come off, it's like, yeah, you look a lot like Superman, but no, you can't be Superman. You're a dweeb. Like I saw you trip over air the other day. There's no way you're Superman.
It's like the way that no one ever believed that Nick is Batman, because when he plays Arkham Asylum, he punches air.
One.
Or two, but anyway, but
warning.
Oh, okay, but yeah, even with, but yeah, and that's a good point. That's why the disguise works. I just don't like the clumsy Clark thing. I think that's a little overplayed, but we can talk about that later. Daniel Martin says, I remember Batman '89. The summer was incredible. People that didn't even go to the movies wanted to see what Batman was about. The home release was also a first of its kind, and the merchandise exploded.
I mean, it's where the real money for the movie is made.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly where BVS made a lot of its cash, is the returns on like DVD and merchandise. Here's how you know Snyderverse merchandise is profitable. They're still making it.
See, I want to get back to the whole Dweeby thing, because like I think Superman Returns did a really good update, because he's not acting Christopher Reeve Dweeby. He's more acting more like a modern kind of more dorky. I think Brandon Routh's version of Clark is more of a dork than he is a dweeb, and it's very much a different personality kind of thing. And I think if there's one thing the Returns did, is it updated the Clark's disguise to make it work within a modern context.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a good place to leave it, because I gotta go grab some food and get ready for the Super Wonder show. But so Nick, okay, so we rate Superman Returns as a 6.5 out of 10. It's okay, it has some glaring errors. But so Nick, where can we find you, and what have you got coming out on your channel?
All right, well, in less than an hour, I'll be doing some Ghostbusters 2009 on my channel. Be pretty sweet. And on Sunday, we'll be closing out Screecher 3 in style. And then from there, I will be taking a week off. The only way you can see me is going to be on Jared's channel, because I'm going to honor commitments that I made to this very well-bearded fellow.
I thank you. I thank you, beard bro. For Super Wonder, so in 2 hours, Britt and I are going to be going live, and we're going to be talking about the gaming history of Superman and Wonder Woman. In other words, how they've like shown up in gaming. And we're going to make essentially war game out how we would make a Superman and Wonder Woman video game. So we'll talk about that. There'll be nostalgic. I can talk more about Superman Returns without Nick making jokes. That game is awesome. I will still maintain that game is awesome. And tomorrow you can find No Shave November. It's been no shave since 2020 for me, bro. But
winning.
Yeah, exactly. And then tomorrow, Nick and I will be covering the Superman the Animated Series episode Bizarro. On Wednesday, I'll be releasing a video talking about how I would adapt what Wonder Woman stories I would adapt for Absolute Wonder Woman. And for Under Two Capes, we're going to be talking about doing Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice, but with Reeve and Cavill.
And so, I will be there.
Yeah, 100%. And I would not mess with Wonder Woman if she was dating with Superman, because, yeah, exactly. That was the one good part of that episode of Justice League, where Batman is like, if someone knew I was dating someone, they wouldn't stop until they had harmed that person. Then Wonder Woman just crushes a rock, and he's like, point taken. That was the one good part.
Yeah.
But anyway, so stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Zoe is the Maxibat for life. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.